When we set up an organization from the scratch, everything was a challenge at the time because the concept is very much like now what people talk, the startup. So we were at that time is very much a startup. I mean, if the story of a startup, you start with 1 person, 2 person in a garage, like story of Facebook, Google, and all of those. The story of the AHA Center is very much like that. A few people, started the AHA Center in a very much empty office with limited facilities, but we had a lot of dreams, a lot of motivation to achieve something big.
So before the establishment stage, which was during Pak Said Faisal's era, there was another stage prior to that, and I call it planting the seed stage. It was the time when the idea of the AHA Center was planted into the first draft of the text of the ASEAN Agreement on Disaster Management and Emergency Response. So there was no reference in ASEAN. So we started with a blank sheet, basically having the dream, having the vision, but that dream was also driven by fear of having another tsunami, that the ASEAN countries would not be able to help one another. So everybody was really pulled by that vision that if there is another tsunami as big as Indian Ocean tsunami, we should be able to help one another. And I think looking back, we fulfilled that dream.
How could AHA Center survive for the 10 years? I think it's very much a collaborative effort of many people. Of course, starting at the very early stage, I could see the tremendous support from the governing board, the ASEAN Committee of Disaster Management. I would say it would be very difficult to imagine the AHA Center at this stage without the support of the ASEAN Secretariat at that time. In particular, it was DMHA led by Adelina Kamal, who's later become the executive director of the AHA Center, and all the dialogue partners as well. So I think it's very much a collaborative model of different actors moving together. And of course, I would say, I think until now, a passionate staff or team member or super team, we call it the AHA Center, I think very, very important.
Over the last 10 years, I think something important that determines the success of AHA Center, I think we talk about commitment, passion, and also being compassionate. And also the staff of AHA Center, I think we can see the passion, the compassion, and also the commitment in terms of disaster planning and also responding to disaster. I think we are committed to help our fellow ASEAN citizens in times of needs.
There's so many achievements actually that we should be proud of as a team, as an organization. Somehow, the significant achievements were actually the most difficult moments. And these were during the period of 2018 when the AHA Center had to respond to multiple disasters back to back. And these were like catastrophic disasters, like 6 or 7. almost at the same time, including the Central Sulawesi triple disasters. AHA Center was really pushed to the limit. It was the first time, I think, in the history of AHA Center that we exercise almost all aspects of One ASEAN, One Response. There were other achievements. For example, I think we have been able to double the number of ERAT, the ASEAN Emergency Response Assessment Team. I think now we've got over 322 ERAT members from all the 10 ASEAN countries. We're able to triple the number of the future leaders of ASEAN, the ACE, the ASEAN Executive Program, graduates to almost 100. We're able to increase the number of regional stockpiles from 1 in Malaysia now to 3, including Philippines and Thailand. And we facilitate a lot of knowledge exchange. We become not only the center that facilitate One ASEAN, One Response, but also the center for learning and exchange.
I would say partnership is one of the key cornerstone and main thing that AHA Center have been able to develop over the last 10 years. I would say nobody can do everything on your own. We need to learn from people. We need to have partners to work with us. So I think partnership is something important and something that we treasure. We treasure the relationship and the network and the collaboration we have developed. So this is something that will definitely continue and is important for AHA Center and ASEAN member states.
The AHA Center was built and founded by the member state, so it has to stay relevant for the member state. But I think we need to push it more, not only the member state and the governments, but also the people of ASEAN. I also hope that the AHA Center can be the trendsetter. When the founders of AHA Center first planted the idea of AHA Center into the draft of the agreement, there was no benchmark, there was no reference, right? Now we should be the reference for other regions.
I would say we have progressed and developed well. And I think over the last few years, I think one of the dream of AHA Center, I think as mentioned by previous EDs also, I think is that to make AHA Center into a world-class coordinating center for disaster management and response. We have also aspired to share our best practices with the world, and then to showcase some of the products, the programs and initiatives that ASEAN has and also developed over the last 10 years. I think we have seen a response to many disasters, and out there in the ASEAN regions, we have many ASEAN people from ASEAN who are very experienced and has got the expertise and knowledge to actually bring the disaster response landscape in ASEAN to the next level.
The dream of making the AHA Center always as the organization of choice, first to call for the member states. The dream of making ASEAN great. Making ASEAN great meaning that, for example, during that time we always, whenever we had a disaster, then the news will put a headline, where is ASEAN and what is ASEAN doing? I think making ASEAN great in terms of the AHA Center is being able to answer that question with confidence and pride.